Hi, this is Tuhon Aditya from LightHaven. Welcome to day 4 of our solo training series. Today we're going to be covering stick and knife or Espada Y Daga or sword and knife. Before we begin though, please do hit that subscribe button, please do hit that like button. These things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. So the first thing we're going to start with is our warm-up. So we're going to take our two sticks, hold them in the middle and then rotate them 100 times. Now I want to make sure that I'm rotating as much as I can to the front and as much as I can to the back, and it's not just this. I want to rotate, I want to stretch all the tendons, I want to stretch my joints all the way up my arm, and I want to rotate as much as possible. Now depending on how strong you are, choose the weight of the sticks that you want. Also, as you get more tired, you can bend your arms. You don't have to keep them straight for the whole 100, even though it's better. However, don't bring them in front of you because the sticks bump into each other. So in the middle, rotate 100 times. The next thing we're going to do is, if you guys are familiar with the Dirty Dozen, this is derived from Dirty Dozen number 11. If you're not, we're going to do this from the beginning anyway. The footwork we're doing is your T footwork. So I'm just going to step in front, no weight on the front leg and a sink on the back leg. As my sticks open, my leg is going to go out. I start with my sticks crossed in front of my body. The first set is going to be low, then medium, then high. As I open my sticks, my leg comes out. And again, I'm looking for my stick to go all the way to the bottom, all the way to the bottom, all the way to the bottom, all the way to the bottom. Both ways. So again, make sure you're choosing a weight that you're comfortable with so you're not injuring your wrists. One thing people do is they tend to open their chest with this. Don't open your chest. Let this be a wrist, elbow, shoulder motion and not a chest motion. And I want this to be facing down and facing down. It's just slightly different from Dirty Dozen number 11, but still, down, down. And we're going to do 30 of these with the hands down low. After 30 down low, the next one we're going to do is 30 with the hands in front of my chest. Same thing. As the sticks open, my leg comes out. 30 of these. From here, the last one we're going to do is my hands above my head. So my wrists are crossed. As the sticks open, my leg comes out. Now make sure that here I'm looking to be almost parallel to the ground, almost parallel. And the stick faces forward as much as I can make it. So from here, open, and 30 of these. One additional thing you can do that I do for coordination sake is that every time I close my hands, I switch which hand is on top. So if my left hand is on top, now my right hand's on top. That's just something that I do. It works another layer of coordination. You can do that or you can't do that, it's up to you. But 30 low, 30 medium, 30 top, 30 high. The footwork we're going to be using for our Espada Y Daga day is going to be ranging footwork. So let's just get some reps in of that. We're going to do 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Now it's up to you whether you want to do it empty hands or whether you want to do it with the weapon on your shoulder and by your hip. Or you can also just chamber your weapons like this. That's really up to you. When we're doing our ranging footwork, we're making sure we're doing the single step version, all 6 directions, front 45, back 45, and then side 90, the single step version, as well as the double step version. When I'm doing the single step version, I'm looking to just get my head off center line. When I'm doing the double step version, I'm looking to get my entire body off center line. And we're going to be alternating this. You also have an entire checklist for your single step and double step ranging footwork, which I'm not going to get into right now. I will leave a link to a video that talks about it in detail down below. Just make sure you're alternating your single step and your double step. When you're doing the single step, both your feet are on the ground. When you're doing the double step, you're primarily on the toes. When you're doing single step, you're getting your head off line. When you're doing double step, you're getting your entire body off center line. So we're going to be doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. The next thing we're going to do is some basic angle and coordination work between my stick or my sword and my knife. Now one of the major principles of Espada Y Daga is about filling space. I'm looking to fill space that has been left by my weapon empty, and I want to fill space with my other weapon. So if there's me and my opponent, I am currently filling space with my weapon, and now there's empty space, and so I want to fill that space offensively, otherwise he might fill it offensively. So that's essentially the basic principle where I'm looking to fill space. Apart from that, it's on this principle that you build all the other things, where you might use your knife to parry, you might use your knife to bait, or whatever else your knife, whatever other role your knife may have. It must first fulfill this basic principle of whenever my stick vacates space, my knife is there to fill it. So we're going to start with angle 1, angle 2, and whenever I chamber on my forehand, in fact, for now, in the beginning at least, make it a sort of rule, or at least something that you keep in your mind very firmly, that whenever I chamber on my front hand side or my forehand side, I have an opportunity to attack with my knife, whether it's low, whether it's down the middle and higher. You have that opportunity every time you are chambering on your forehand side. So we're going to start with basic angle 1, angle 2. So I go with my ranging footwork, angle 1, angle 2, and as my angle 2 goes, that's my thrust. Now in Espada Y Daga, instead of thrusting this way or this way, most often we thrust almost like a back fist. This is mostly because, at least in the beginning, the reason this is because when you do partner work, you're making contact with each other's hands like this. Later on it has a couple of more reasons, but right now that's the reason we're going to be doing it. It is also okay, perfectly fine for you to go thrust this way, or to thrust this way, or this way, any other thrust. But my recommendation, because this is how you're going to be training with a partner, would be to thrust like this, with the top of my forearm facing my opponent. So I'm going to do with my ranging footwork, angle 1 fluid, angle 2 fluid, thrust, angle 1 fluid, angle 2 fluid, thrust, going back 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, sideways, 2, thrust, sideways, 2, thrust. Then double step, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust. Now we are doing we're doing fluid strikes, but you can do the same thing with broken strikes. Every time I load on my forehand side, I am going to be thrusting with a knife. So the same thing, angle 1, angle 2 broken, angle 1, angle 2 thrust, but it's broken. It's the same concept. Every time I load on my forehand side, that's where the space comes for my knife. So if I do the broken version, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 1, 2, thrust. The other thing I like to do is I like to keep my knife by my hip. I don't like to keep my knife on my chest for this one at least. Just generally because in the beginning people tend to stab themselves, so it's safer to have my knife by my hip. The other thing that I want to make sure is that I'm not fully extending that knife. It's a little bit. I'm not going to go beyond this sort of 120-degree angle between my bicep and my forearm. I'm not going to go beyond that. To get more distance, I may turn my hip. In fact, one very common exercise that GT made us do one day for a very long time was, it was a broken angle 1 slash and then a thrust with a knife. So broken angle 1 slash and thrust, he made us turn our hip all the way to get that extension for the knife. So if you want more range, turn the hip a bit more. Don't overextend the hand. We're going to be doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Make sure that you are doing 1 round with the stick in your right hand and 1 round with the stick in your left hand. Now we're going to be adding our angle 3 and angle 4 into the mix. The same principle we're going to follow is that when I load onto my forehand side is when I'm going to be looking to thrust. But now I'm going to have 2 thrusts. So I'm going to have 1 thrust after the angle 2 and then 1 thrust after the angle 4. So 2 thrusts, 1, 2, thrust, switch legs, 3, 4, thrust. Now your 3 and your 4 are quite important in the Espada Y Daga context for many reasons, but at least for right now, my 3 and my 4 slashes can also very easily be converted into an umbrella and an umbrella. So instead of slashing, I can be doing an umbrella and an umbrella. Now, one of the common entries of Espada Y Daga is I am entering under the umbrella of my longer weapon. My longer weapon is looking to parry something or deflect something or diffuse something that's coming from here using the umbrella, and I'm entering with my knife behind it. So your 3 and your 4 are rather important to be able to coordinate well with my knife. We're going to again be doing ranging footwork with this. 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, sideways as well, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, double step, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, 1, 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust. It's up to you whether you want to load back on your shoulder before the 3. Make sure you load back on the shoulder for the 1 and the 2. But the 3, it's up to you whether you want to go from here back down or whether you just want to go 1, 2 thrust, and from here itself come back with the 3 and the 4 and the thrust. That's the choice that you can make. It also does matter which leg you begin with. So if I'm beginning my angle 1 on my right hand with my right leg forward, then every single time I'm going to do angle 3 and angle 4, it's going to be with my left leg going to my left side. So both of them have different applications. Sometimes drill it with same hand, same leg beginning. Sometimes drill it with opposite hand, opposite leg beginning. So I'm going to go right hand, left leg, angle 1, angle 2, thrust. Now right hand, right leg, angle 3, angle 4, thrust. We will drill it starting with the same hand, same leg, and opposite hand, opposite leg. We're going to be doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Make sure you switch hands. So you reverse, your stick goes to your left hand, knife comes to your right hand for each round. So the first round will be stick in your right hand, knife in your left hand. Second round will be stick in your left hand, knife in your right hand. The first 2 exercises that we covered in this weapon system were the first 2 things that were taught to me by GT, and he immediately made sure to impress upon me how versatile 1, 2 thrust, 3, 4 thrust can be and how many different ways they can be utilized. But probably the most famous and prevalent stick and knife or sword and knife pattern is your waterfall. We have a whole separate video on it which I'm going to link down below, which teaches it in detail. So if you aren't familiar with it, first get familiar with it and then come back and do this part. But for those of you who are familiar, we're going to be doing the next drill is going to be waterfall, getting repetitions of our waterfall. The way we're going to be doing this, however, is again I'm going to step angle 1 and then my waterfall begins. But I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to be doing it so that whether I'm doing just open triangle footwork or ranging footwork or whatever you choose to do, I'm going to do with angle 1, I'm going to step the first one, and then with this angle 2, I'm going to step in front and then do the waterfall and then come back angle 1 again. So the way I'm going to coordinate this with my legs, the easier version I'm going to show you and a little bit harder version. The easier version is just I'm going to step 45 degrees off front, angle 1. As I do angle 2 and I follow up with the knife, I step in front and then I step back again, angle 1, and again forward with my knife, and then I repeat. Another way of doing this is that I'm going to be hitting the clock faces on the ground. So 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock is behind me, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So if I go 1, bang, in front of me. Now when I do the next angle 1, I'm going to face 3 o'clock and then step in front. The next angle 1 is going to be behind me. I do the same thing facing there, and then the last angle 1, then my waterfall, the last angle 1 is going to be facing, and then I step in here, and then again I come back to facing 12 o'clock. So I step back, the front leg after I've done my waterfall, my left, if the knife is in my left, if in my left hand, my left leg will be in front. Instead of stepping back for the angle 1, I'm going to step so that I face back to 12 o'clock. So this leg comes almost like a square stance, if that's my target. I'm going to stand square, except now that's my target, step in, that's my waterfall. Another way of doing the waterfall is a little with the footwork is a little bit more complicated timing wise, but you can try it. It's just with our open triangle. I'm going to step to the right, angle 1, step forward with that waterfall, come back, switch legs, angle 1, step forward with that waterfall, come back again to the right, step forward to the waterfall, come back, so essentially what I'm looking to do is I'm stepping to the right with an angle 1, and every time I'm coming in with an angle 2, I'm stepping in, looking to follow that circular angle 2 with the knife. And then just before, I want to get my leg back so that next, when I'm stepping to the left, my angle 1 is ready. And then again, I'm stepping in. And then I'm coming back so that my angle 1 is ready. And then I'm coming back so that my angle 1 is ready. So it's almost like I'm doing my open triangle 45 degrees as well as stepping through the center. So it's almost like a bird's foot or something like this. This is what your shape is going to be. I'm stepping to the side, entering straight, coming back, switching legs, entering straight, coming back, switching legs, entering straight, coming back, switching legs, entering straight. We're going to be doing this, whichever version you choose to, 2-3 minute rounds. Again, make sure you switch hands after every round. Now we're going to do some combination work. So a combination can be as simple as angle 1, angle 2. It can be as simple as angle 3, angle 4, except we are going to find a way to go from whichever combination we choose into our waterfall. Another simple thing, if you've done already the single stick day, you can pick any try-V combination as well, as long as you end back onto this shoulder so that you can begin the waterfall. So let's say that you do something like diagonal, diagonal, circular. Make sure you come back with a reverse diagonal so I can begin the waterfall, and then again I can do whichever combination as long as I come back to my backhand side so I can begin the waterfall again. The footwork for this, just to keep it simple, we're just going to take right leg in front if it's in our right hand. We're just going to step straight or 45 degrees, do whichever combination you like to, and then enter with the waterfall, and then go back again to whichever combination you like to, and then back to the waterfall. So here I'm doing angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and then I'm entering. You can also add in that knife thrust here. So you can go 1, 2, thrust, 3, waterfall. 1, 2, thrust, 3, waterfall. You can do something like that as well. Choose a simple combination in the beginning, especially when you're trying to coordinate everything. As you get more comfortable, you can add more fancy coordinations with thrusts and vittics and whatever. But we're going to be doing 2 rounds of 3 minutes each. Make sure you switch your hands in between rounds. And lastly, like we have been doing, we're going to be ending with some free flow or with some Anyo. Now, here also, everything that you have been working on, this is the time to express it. You have your waterfall. So, Espada Y Daga is quite easy to get lost in. Because if you do it right, actually, your knife is supposed to have a whole different set of, a whole different purpose, and your stick or your long weapon has a whole different purpose. And it can get a little bit, lost in trying to figure out what to do at what point of time. So, when you get lost, go back to your angle 1, angle 2, thrust, 3, 4, thrust, and or your basic waterfall. Just add your waterfall. It can be something as simple as adding your waterfall after every combination that you do, every time you come back to your backhand. So I'm here, I'm flowing, I'm adding my waterfall. We take, come, I'm adding my waterfall. Thrust, slash, adding my waterfall. I'm going high, I'm adding my waterfall. Thrust and slash, jab, adding my waterfall. If you keep it simple, and insert the knife whenever you go to your forehand, and go to the waterfall whenever you're lost. Flowing with Espada Y Daga can become quite accessible for people of all levels if you just keep it simple. As soon as you start going into more complicated things of thrusting and slashing with the stick, of thrusting and slashing with the knife, of sort of trying to replicate drills, so a thrust is coming in, I'm picking that up as I'm thrusting out here, slashing, all of that kind of stuff, it's going to become a lot harder for you to do all this. So keep it simple, insert the thrust, when you load back for that forehand, go to the waterfall whenever you're lost. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you learned from what you saw, please do like and share this video. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you have anything to add to the discussion, leave that in the comments down below. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, please also leave that in the comments down below. All of these things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. Our online class is up and running. Our residential program is up and running. To enroll for either of them, check out the email address I'm going to leave in the link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in tomorrow for Double Knife.